Today is 12/29/24. Earlier today, I heard Jimmy Carter passed away on the news. A lot of people has been putting videos out remembering his presidency and everything that he accomplished or failed to accomplish. His presidency was really marked with a lot of controversy. He had a lot of issues with the oil embargoes, and just as he was leaving office, of course, he had the hostage situation. If you remember that, right up to the last day of his presidency, he was trying to get some hostages released, and couldn't get that accomplished either. I don't think Jimmy Carter really was a bad president with intentions. It just seemed like he couldn't get the ball rolling, during his presidency. I think he had good intentions and everything that he did, but his accomplishments weren't really there. Um, in trucking, of course, in 1980 he passed the Motor Carriers Act, which deregulated the trucking industry. Before that, trucking companies had certain routes and certain areas that they serviced. They couldn't go outside of those areas. Basically, there's a lot more to it, but basically, what the Federal Motor Carriers Act did was broke up all of those lines and made it to where interstate travel and state to state travel was more accessible for all trucking companies, to where the term "we run 48 states" came into effect. And like with me with this job, it's more of a regional type thing because I'm home on the weekends usually. Sorry, I'm still a little sick. I'm a little under the weather, so if I cough or sneeze, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to do better. But it just keeps hanging on here. Um, but these mega carriers grasped on to this 48 carrier irregular route thing, and that was the birth of it, and it really got a shot in the arm to these big mega corporate carriers. They started buying trucks like crazy, buying trailers like crazy, dropping trailers all over the United States, and running truck drivers. Before that, it was really unheard of to stay out on the road 3 or 4 months at a time, and that became really normal. you know some drivers were staying out 6 months at a time, and these mega carriers were just going. I mean, they were running trucks almost 24/7. Team drivers started becoming a thing. Husband and wife teams that would run coast to coast. You know, drugs and illegal substances that would keep drivers up all night started becoming a thing. The outlaw trucker became a thing. Running 3 and 4 logbooks became a thing. Before that law was passed, it was more of a laid back approach in trucking. And I've never really been one that likes that style of trucking myself. I've always been more of a regional type person, or a regular route type person myself. I see home time as being something very high on a priority list for me. And some of these guys, I see them on YouTube here, staying out 6 weeks at a time, working for Crete. Crete is a big deal on YouTube, and these guys are staying out 6 and 9 weeks at a time with Crete, and I just absolutely don't see how they could do that. I couldn't. I mean, I absolutely couldn't do that. And, I've called trucking companies before and they've said, you must stay out a minimum of 3 to 4 weeks at a time. My answer always is, thank you. I appreciate the input, the honesty and everything. I'm going to pass. I'm going to go find something else to do. That's not me. I don't understand why anyone would want a lifestyle like that myself, but it was Jimmy Carter, the man that opened the doors up for that type of lifestyle for people. And actually know of a guy that is doing that. He's running team with his wife. They seem to like it, and more power to them. It's not a knock against them. It's just for me, my sake. I just don't know how I would ever keep things together doing something like that, but lots of people do, I guess. It makes me wonder, though, what was the purpose of passing that? I know we, in the 1980s during, the late 70s into the early 80s, during Carter's administration, we were stuck in this thing called stagflation. And it was a thing where all of the economic experts and everything were trying to break this inflation. I don't know what really to call it. It was like a binding inflation to where nothing they tried could get it broken. It just kept lingering and lingering and lingering. So Jimmy Carter, I guess, with his economic experts, come up with this plan of deregulation, thinking that would help. It wasn't just trucking that they deregulated. They also deregulated the railroads. They had a telecommunication act that they passed that deregulated long distance phone calls. If you remember back then, having to put the quarters in the payphones, and they'd only give you a couple of minutes to talk on long distance, and then you had to put your quarters in. Truck drivers back then used to carry these cards. I don't know how many people are watching this video that are younger or older, but truck drivers would buy these long distance cards and they would type the code in on the phone and it would tell them how many minutes they had on their card to where they could talk. And lots of trucking companies would hand them out to truck drivers. That way, whenever they got into a truck stop that had a phone, they could type it in and they could talk to their dispatch, or they would just call collect. Usually is what would happen, is they would call collect to the trucking company, and the trucking company's like, yeah, sure, we'll take the collect call. It's a truck driver calling in. He doesn't have any money. And when I rode on the truck with my brother-in-law back in the early 80s, he would have this big can in his floor, full of change, and he would carry that can in to the payphone with him, and he would just be dropping quarters in, trying to call somebody. So, Jimmy Carter had some good things and some bad things. It took a while for it to take effect, and to get going, but it wasn't immediate. It wasn't an immediate thing that just happened, just like that. So, I think he had some good intentions. He had some good uh, thoughts about it. It just didn't come to effect during his presidency. And as we all know, he was a one-term president. Uh, it just didn't work out. It didn't work out for him. He was kind of a mirror image of Joe Biden in a way, because Joe Biden come in, and which was different because Joe Biden come in and intentionally screwed up stuff, in my opinion. Jimmy Carter stepped off into something that he really was in over his head and couldn't fix. I mean, it was two different situations there, I guess, with the same outcome, with the same ending of their presidency. Both of them were one-term presidents, but I don't know the effect on trucking if that's still debated today, with the passing of the Motor Carrier Act. Was it good? Was it bad? I guess it's the way you look at it. Um, did it give an upper hand to the big mega carriers? I think so, because the United States is so huge. I mean, you've got the distance between California and North Carolina, Washington and Florida. I mean, you're talking thousands of miles there. And to run a route like that, you know, one truck or a small company with 5 trucks in it, they can't be a trucking company like that to where they cover all 48 states. They may say they run all 48 states, but you can get lost in the United States. It's so big. Excuse me, it's so big. So mega carriers really took a a liking to this deregulation thing that Jimmy Carter passed. They really took a liking to it, and like I said, I've never been that kind of person. I've never been that kind of driver. But hey, more power to you if you like it. If that's your thing, I just couldn't do it myself. Even when I was younger, you know, um, I took a job whenever I first started out because it ran the Northeast states. And I thought it would be so cool running up in the Northeast states. And then it took me, about a year, and I was done with that. I said, I've seen everything up in the Northeast that I want to see, and I don't really care if I go back. And same way with some of the Western states for me, because it's so far out there. I live in Arkansas, so, running to Washington and Oregon, especially in the wintertime, that's just not a thing for me. It's not. I don't care for that. I don't care for the Northwest. I don't care for the Northeast. Now, the Northwest is beautiful states. It's beautiful country. Montana, I think, in my mind, Montana is one of the most beautiful states in the United States to run a truck in. I mean, it's just gorgeous out there. But I don't want to live that lifestyle where I stay out on the road, 3, 5, 9 weeks at a time, even months at a time like that. So I don't really care to run that myself, but somebody has to. I guess that's the way that they looked at it whenever they were passing this motor carrier act, or the Motor Act of 1980. They were looking at it as, this is a huge country and we're developing and we're getting better trucks that could run over the road like this. So we need to do this type of stuff. And I don't know. You guys put down in the comments. You guys have a discussion down there and let me know what you think of Jimmy Carter's presidency and the Motor Carrier Act and all of this stuff that happened during Carter's presidency. Do you think he was a good president, a bad president? I personally think he had good intentions. It just didn't work out the way he planned during his presidency, but we're still feeling the effects of it. So, um, yeah. But anyway, I wish his family well. I don't wish any ill will towards his family and his passing and all. And hopefully, they're going to be at peace with everything. I mean, after all, he was 100 years old, and they had been expecting it for a long time. But even though you're expecting it and everything, it's always hard to say goodbye. So, best wishes for his family, and prayers go out to his family, of course. And I guess that's about all I have for now. So you guys be safe out there. Look out for one another. Take care of yourself. I'm going to take some medicine and take care of myself here in just a few minutes. And we will catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.